Hi guys, welcome to season 3 of a Tincture of Scent. Yes, season 3, we've been here for that long. So I won't waste your time celebrating season 3 today. We're just going to go right into it. So as always, I have a question for you guys on today's episode. But before I ask, let me just just tell you a brief story. So let's just imagine that I magically make two people appear. One after the other. One is a man and the other one is a woman. So now, let's now imagine that after I magically make these two people appear, the man and the woman, I now decide to disappear after a few years of having them with me. So now, will it make sense? Now, this is my question. Will it make sense for me to just leave everything I own, my cars, my houses, everything, to the man just because he's a man, and leave nothing to the woman just because she's a woman? Now, regardless of what you think about what I've just said about this question, just make sure you watch to the end, okay? Just watch this episode to the end. I have something for you.
In some parts of the world, it is said that there are only two things certain in life: death and taxes. I disagree with taxes being a certainty though, because some types of people, accountants, have mastered the art of ensuring other types of people, rich people, pay little or no taxes at all. Anyway, when it comes to death, I can't quibble with that at all, because everyone will die at some point. It doesn't matter how many supplements you use, the types of partnering treatments you get, or the life extending procedures performed on you. Whatever it is you've used or undergone, your number will be up one day, and when it does, it's over. Now, while it might be over for a person after they die, a new chapter will be starting for the people the person left behind. Depending on the family and tribe the deceased person comes from, the new chapter can play out in a number of ways. I'll discuss just 3 of those ways in this episode. The first is, it could be sleepy, predictable drama. Secondly, it could be a tragic comedy. And lastly, it could be an action movie. Firstly, the sleepy, predictable drama. In this movie, after the patriarch dies, with or without a will, the family get together and amicably agree what to do with what he left behind. If he has a spouse, she takes charge of his affairs and manages them on behalf of herself and her children, and everyone lives happily ever after. Now, secondly, the tragic comedy. In this movie, after the patriarch dies, 1 or 2 women might surface with kids supposedly belong to the late man. This was a man that he was so pious and this and all that, or maybe he was a pastor or an elder in his church, whatever. Anyway, something unexpected happens. Now, his family members demand they deserve a property or two. Some say he owes them huge sums of money. Now, is there any evidence they borrowed him any money? Bank statements, agreements, anything? Well, there's none, because the money was given to him in cash. Okay, in this day and age, people still carry huge sums of cash around going to loan people. And it goes on and on and on, but eventually, things get resolved without too much acrimony. Thirdly, the action movie. In this movie, the action starts as soon as the patriarch dies. Not after he's buried, but as soon as word gets out that he's dead. What happens? Well, one of his sons decides the crown jewels of his father's business, an hotel as an example, should be his and his alone, and he pays the police, the army, and whoever else he can pay to stand guard at the property and not let any of his family members come near it. Another brother seals off the father's main residence and doesn't allow anyone to go in or out. One sister had packed all of her father's watches and other expensive items for herself, while unbeknownst to all of them, various uncles and aunties had visited witch doctors to get juju to help them get their hands on as many of the late man's possessions without being questioned. While this scenario might seem far-fetched, you'll be shocked at what actually happens in some families. It will be extremely difficult to believe that some family members know each other, not to talk of being related by blood. Anyway, while these scenarios may or may not occur after the death of a matriarch or a patriarch, among the Igbos of the southeastern region of Nigeria, after the death of a patriarch, when any movie regarding how the deceased belongings will be divided are playing out, female children are usually excluded because their customs preclude female children from inheriting their father's belongings. These customs don't apply to only female children though. They also apply to some widows of deceased men. Widows that don't have a male child before their husbands pass on can also be excluded from inheriting their husband's belongings. Now, considering the prevailing attitudes decades and centuries ago, I understand how the practice of excluding widows and daughters from inheriting could have been acceptable back then. But in the 21st century, how can this still be a thing? How can someone or a group of people, in the name of custom and culture, come together to deprive some wives of what belonged to their husbands because they had the effrontery of not giving birth to a male child? The same people, in the name of custom and culture, also deprive some children of what belonged to their father because they chose to be born with 2 X chromosomes instead of 1. The thing is, while the Igbo societies practicing these inheritance depriving activities have customs and culture to back up their actions, people from other tribes that deprive both widows and children from accessing what belonged to deceased men can only point to the evil in their hearts and the grin in their eyes as the justification for their actions. Anything else is an excuse, like a madman that's disguising. They can try to hide their reasons, but we see them. Yeah, we see them for a mile away. Now, in a landmark case, the practice of not recognizing females as being deserving of inheritance was legally rebuked in the Supreme Court of Nigeria. In deciding a case brought by a woman that was going to be dispossessed of her husband's possessions, the Supreme Court, in their judgment, found that any custom that denies women their inheritance is repugnant to natural justice, equity, and good conscience. The Supreme Court, in yet another case, upheld the right of a female child to inherit properties of her late father. While some people will accept the judgments from the Supreme Court and not fight widows and children of deceased men from taking possession of their rightful inheritance, others will ignore it and keep fighting them in the name of customs, culture, and tradition. Customs, culture, and traditions are good, but shouldn't this one be left in the 19th or 18th century?
Now, for people that think all customs and traditions are sacred and should be continued from now till infinity, should we continue human sacrifice as well to get a bountiful harvest? Should we still be sacrificing humans to reign gods? Should we? So for people that still have this view that, oh, every custom, tradition is sacred, is this, is that, women should not do this, women should not do that, let's sacrifice that. Well, I have something for you. It's a tincture of scent. So you need to use three times daily for the next 3 months. You should probably have a change of heart then. Okay? So on that note, I'm just going to say thanks for watching. Look out for our next video next week.